the defensive MVP, the
Obviously.
defensive player of the year. But really, defensive player of the year is the most valuable player in the National Basketball Association, according to people that played basketball in the 80s and 90s. Because
Defense wins championships.
we used to build railroads. Shut up. No, you stopped building railroads decades before that. Fucking assholes. You guys built suburbia.
That's right, exactly.
Okay. So defensive player of the year, I actually think this one is very close.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of worthy candidates. I've almost finished a piece about Alex Caruso, who I was like, oh, like, is he defensive player of the year? I didn't pick him. But he's been amazing. And like, if guards could win it in my mind and it not be ridiculous, he would probably win it. Like, he's been that impactful as a perimeter defender. But there's a lot of good candidates. I have a top three. So, and I wrote some notes on it. So, James, who's your defensive player of the year?
Okay. So I know that the metrics favor like a number of different guys that you can make cases like the on-offs and whatever else. They don't paint a clear picture necessarily, right?
Yeah,
So I'm kind of just going with my gut insofar as like which one of these dudes I just think based on the games I've watched and based on my knowledge of them is the most impactful defensive player. And it's Jaren Jackson Jr. for me. Other serious candidates were Evan Mobley and Brook Lopez. I love the Caruso shout out. Caruso definitely like there's a case, but similar to you, I just feel like I can't give it to a guard. I just know that forwards and bigs impact the game defensively more.
that's literally like one of the opening paragraphs in what I wrote, being like, I was like, basically, I was like, I was really pissed with Marcus Smart won defensive player of the year because he's a guard. Now, let me tell you how
I
a
kind of
guard should
liked
win
it.
it.
I kind of liked it. I just thought it was like fun. Now I'm a little older than you, and I remember when Gary Payton was winning Defensive Player of the Year and stuff, right? So it was a little bit of a throwback for me. Like a guard, that's crazy. But logically, I know that bigs and big wings are the most impactful defensive players, and that's just what it is. But so
Yeah.
yeah, Jaren Jackson Jr. to me is one of the like okay. It comes down to this for me, right? Lopez is probably right now the best stationary rim protector in the NBA, in my opinion. But Jackson Jr. can survive in space a little better, considerably better than Lopez can, really, right? And like the Bucks defensive scheme is kind of Lopez and Giannis in tandem, right? Memphis's scheme is really Jaren Jackson Jr. Like he is distinctly the anchor, right? Whereas could Lopez get away with being so stationary if you weren't alongside Antetokounmpo? I think that there's a conversation to have there, right? And similarly, Evan Mobley gets his partnership with Jared Allen counted against him to some extent. It's like he's so free to roam and freelance and switch and guard whoever he wants because he's got a guy in the back line that he can count on, right? Jaren Jackson Jr. is by far the most important defensive player on the Grizzlies. So that's my vote.
Okay. So, Jaren Jackson Jr. finished third in mine. And the only reason he finished third is that at the end of the day, I looked at it. He just doesn't play enough. And every second you're not out on the court, you're not defending. And so that for me was what knocked him back. You know, he missed time early in the season. He doesn't even play 30 minutes a night because he fouls a bit too much. And I think for me, that like was kind of the knock is that like he does get in foul trouble even when he does play. And the minutes are massive, it's a massive difference. But I went with Brook Lopez. And this is what I wrote. Checks notes. Simply put, Brook Lopez does the most defending. He averages 27.6 contested shots per 48 minutes. That's five more than Walker Kessler in second of players who have played at least 1,000 minutes. His defended field goal percentage of 46% is 4.7% better than what's expected. He's especially lethal 6 feet and closer, where his 8.1 defended field goal attempts is tied for fourth, and his defended field goal percentage 6 feet and closer of 51.7% is 13.4% better than expected. No one defends more shots in better places than Brook Lopez. Jaren Jackson Jr. in terms of his impact 6 feet in, very similar. It's just to me, it's like I have to give it to Lopez in that the volume that he's doing it at, he's just impacting more shots. It's like Jaren Jackson Jr. might be better, and I think he probably is on a permanent basis the most impactful defender. But Lopez is just racking up so many more minutes that it kind of like I just get to the point where I'm like, think he kind of deserves it. And I do agree with you that Triple J is more important to the Grizzlies defense than Lopez is. But Steven Adams kind of plays the Lopez role for the Grizzlies, and he's been out. But when those two guys are on the court, their defense is like absolutely absurd. And so I kind of see like Triple J gets to kind of play the Giannis role, and to each their own. But I felt like
Yeah,
defending
definitely.
that many fucking more shots than anyone else on a per minute basis
Yeah.
is like, and being that good at it as well. It's not just like, well, he defends a bunch of shots, but they go in. It's like it's just that got me to Brook Lopez because like at the end of the day, volume matters and the volume's overwhelming.
Let me say this. I guess what I like about Jackson Jr. is that in theory he could be the Brook Lopez of your defense, or he
Yeah.
can be the Giannis of your defense, right?
Like
So I
he's a
don't think
better defender for sure.
Yeah, right. But so that's I think I have a strong argument there, but your volume argument is also strong. They don't really do anything to attack each other as arguments, so I think we just kind of have both good choices. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it really just depends on like what you want to, because these awards don't like have like
A
criteria. It's
strict
like,
criteria, exactly.
yeah, it's like what do you want what do you want this award to be? And for me, it's like I would like it to be the best defender, but like when the best defender maybe in the league misses that many minutes compared to the other candidates, it allows other people to slide in, and then you have someone where he's similar in a lot of respects in terms of ability in certain areas of the court, and he's doing it a ton. But I had second. I had Draymond Green in second.
Yeah,
Because
Draymond Green is just one of those things where it's like he's like the best defender of his generation. He's won it multiple times. It's easy to overlook him. But yeah, he's a very valid candidate.
I think he's the best defender in the NBA in terms of, it's like you say freeze. You have to drop a defender and they have to make a play to save the game. And
Draymond.
it's like, well, what's the play? You don't know. Who are you picking? It's like I'm picking Draymond. Like the dude, he posts like elite perimeter defensive numbers and elite interior defensive numbers. He's, as I said in through Twitter, I thought this was clever. I was like, he's the Swiss minister of defense because the dude can just do everything on defense. And I think his season is he's having a great defensive season again. It's been obscured by the fact that the Warriors haven't been that great.